Short spine massage is, again, working on a good bit of hamstring flexibility, hip flexion mobility, as well as working on articulation through the spine into flexion, mobility of the spine into flexion, and a lot of glute and hamstring, deep core, deep pelvic floor, deep hip work. For short spine massage, we're typically going to work on 2 springs, and you can do this right on the tail end of your feet and strap series and work with whatever springs you have. However, a lot of people need a little bit of extra spring just to get up into this exercise, and so I would err on the heavier side for this, but we want to try to work people to lighter and lighter springs with this extra exercise to really work the pelvic floor and core. So I'm going to be doing this today on 1 green and 1 blue. For our short spine massage, we're going to start with our feet in the straps. And we want to lower the feet down about halfway, maybe a little bit past halfway, just for our starting position. From here, I'm going to start with an inhale. Start to bring the legs up towards the ceiling, and as you exhale, you start to peel the tail up off the mat, pushing the feet up into the straps until you end up all the way up over your shoulders. From here, we bend the knees, drag the heels towards the sit bones, and then roll the spine back down to the mat, 1 segment at a time, before pressing the feet out wide. So a couple of things to note that are really important here is we want to think of a big arc to get ourselves up. So as you're rolling up, you're thinking of pressing the feet up and into the straps to get them all the way up and over your head or behind your head. We're also really lifting the pelvis up off of the rib cage instead of kind of sagging down towards the floor. And as we bend our knees in, we want to open them out wide like a frog and then keep them in that position as we roll down until the tailbone hits the mat where we press back out. So there's a lot of common problems with short spine massage. It's very challenging for some people. And what I always tell people is this one is all about biomechanics and physics and figuring out your levers and how to use those. So one thing that I'll see a lot is that people start trying to roll up from here, which is a lot more challenging than from here, where we've kind of got that extra lift from the straps. So we want to make sure that we're coordinating getting the legs in kind of the right place in space as we start to roll up. So we really are aiming our feet back behind our head, not straight up over our head. That'll be next in long spine massage. Another thing to think about is if you're seeing people just really struggling to get up off the mat and kind of bouncing like this, they may just need a little bit of extra support from your spring. So a heavier spring is a nice option to help people feel what it feels like to get up over their shoulders. And then we can start backing that spring down to add challenge. So they're having to use more of their own leg and core strength to get themselves up. Another common problem we see is that people, especially if they've got a lot of hip and hamstring mobility, is they will kind of fold themselves in half past where they need to go and then try to lift up, which is a lot harder to roll themselves up than if they leave that space a little bit more open. So we're not trying to fold ourselves all the way in half. We want a nice kind of open triangle position at the top. There's still a good bit of space here. And then we really want to cue lifting the hips up off of the rib cage. So we're not sinking down and just hanging into our lower back, but actively lifting up. So that's where the cue of pushing your feet into the straps is very helpful. One last note and thing to look out for in short spine massage is we typically want to make sure we're doing this with the headrest down all the way. I don't want to scare you, as Corin and I have talked about that both of our trainings did, but it can be somewhat dangerous to have someone's headrest lifted, have their neck in flexion, and then be rolling your body weight back onto that flex neck position. So as a rule of thumb, we want to cue people to have that headrest down. Keep an eye out for that. However, if you catch somebody and they're already up and have done it, just gently the next time they roll back down, walk over, you can lower that headrest down and let them keep going.